Hello, and welcome to this week's segment of On Film and Cooking with Alex and Kyle. I'm your host. Well, hardly matters. I'm your host, Alex Crawford.
That's what comes up when you search it.
And I was just going to start the show off.
I need to do my intro. Thanks. So I'm Kyle Hayes. I'm your host of On Film and Cooking with Kyle and Alex. And
with Alex, whatever. But anyway, I was just going to start off with a story. I just recently was on an actual film set, catering, and I wanted to underline how important it is, how hard people work on a set. This is my catering job, as everyone's familiar with. I work at a catering company, and we just catered a film set by total chance like a week ago, and it was a tremendous experience. Just gained an enormous respect for not only how much hard work goes into such an endeavor, but how many people. There's a lot of people, and they're not there. I mean, yeah, it's experience, but they're there for, it's work.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So
I'll go on a little bit more about that later.
This week, we are broadcasting from a new location. We are broadcasting from my apartment.
Why is that?
Oh, the studio. We were renting this sort of cheap little makeshift studio, but the owner was kind of an asshole, so I don't think I want to go there anymore.
Well, I still have a good relationship with him, but yeah.
So anyways, we're broadcasting from my apartment. I think that'll cut down on some costs. Well, the owner of that space was kind of an asshole, and I just think he wasn't really. He wasn't really supportive of what we were doing creatively, so I think it just makes sense for me to host this thing myself.
Well, and in all honesty, he wasn't super impressed.
With what?
With your drinking game. But we're not doing a drinking game today, just so everyone knows. No. We're keeping that clean and professional.
So, last week...
thank you for that, Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
I know it's not easy.
Last week, I started to narrow down the casting of the lead male role for my upcoming film, We Used to Be Together. And...
Yeah, that's just so that everyone's clear on that. This isn't a new movie. It's been the most recent update on the ongoing saga of the title of the movie.
We Used to Be Together is the title. Now, I feel like you're confusing people. But We Used to Be Together is the title. And it's the story of two young lovers who are sort of torn apart by circumstance. And
It's a similar story still.
It's the same exact story.
Okay, just a new title.
Yeah, it's a new title. Anyways.
Because you weren't super happy finally.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, an artistic process continues to evolve.
I feel like we're getting off track here. So we decided that I would actually be the most honest person to portray this role because it comes from life experience. So I decided that I am going to actually be portraying the lead role of Adam in my film.
Nice.
It's a film that I'm writing and directing, and I'm now stepping in front of the camera for.
That's a really positive announcement. I was also going to include that today's cooking segment will be quail eggs. A really interesting and new way to do quail eggs, which is something that also evolves.
Wow, nice segue there. Doesn't really have anything to do with what I was talking about, but I just thought I had this brainwave, the next morning I was just thinking to myself, I was like, this makes total sense. I don't know why I didn't do this all along, because it's so rare that you get a sort of person who's a triple threat like that, who writes, directs, and stars in their own movie.
And did you cast the female yet? Not Violet.
Well, I mean, whoever's willing to do it, I suppose. She's definitely a strong contender.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. But anyways, I feel like that was a total load off my mind now that I have cast the role and the role has been cast properly.
I guess it won't be that hard to memorize the lines.
No.
He talks pretty much like you talk.
Yeah. Well, I am the writer of the film. And I feel like it would just make more sense for me to bring it to life. I feel like I would just be the best fit to be someone who brings it to life.
One of the most interesting roles that I noticed on the set that I was catering for was something called script supervisor.
Right.
And you might think that was just, I mean, I don't know what you would think that does, but basically this person, it's often a female, not necessarily, looks over what's called continuity.
Okay.
And so this is because, and this is something that I think you should be, very conscious of.
Yeah.
Because if you're not on top of this kind of thing, you see in movies all the time that something just does not add up at all.
Yeah. No, I know what
You
continuity
should be very careful about that.
I know what continuity is, and I'll be very...
It's an important part of the organization.
I will be very careful about that.
Have you thought about hiring a script supervisor yet?
I don't really see why. I mean, I've taken enough passes at the script myself that I think that I can manage on my own.
From what she was telling me, it's not something you want to chintz out on.
Yeah. We'll see. I think that our set is going to be pretty tight-knit, and I think I'm going to run a pretty tight ship. So I don't think mistakes like that will fly by me necessarily.
Well, there's a lot going on, and I mean, if you're trying to watch out for the script, tell everyone what to do as the director, and I'm just concerned about I want to
All right.
want you to do a good job.
Do you want to do it?
What?
Supervise the script?
Well, I'm already catering. That's quite a role.
But you can't do 2 things. I'm doing 3 things:
What 3 things?
acting, writing, and directing.
Acting. Oh, you're doing 3 things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because I like to do things right. Not saying that anything, but
I don't know. You seem to have a sudden interest in script supervision, which is not something I've ever heard you mention. So.
No, I'm not interested. I'm trying to look out for you. I don't know how well you know the industry in that, but
Oh well, I do. I've been on more sets than you have.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I hope and you observed those sets that you're on.
Oh, absolutely. I was always on camera, so everything that I see is everything that everyone sees. It's a pretty important job, which is actually kind of why. I didn't want to waste a lot of time just fighting with a DOP, director of photography, cameraman. So I feel like I can get the shots that I need myself. I've got some pretty good equipment, so.
Well, I don't know necessarily about a film set, but I know that in the kitchen, if you're working on your own, it's you don't get as high quality of product. You don't get you certainly can't feed a whole restaurant.
I'm not
on
working
your
on my own.
Certainly can't feed a conference.
I'm not working on my own. I'm just accepting ownership of the things that I don't think are necessary to farm out like that.
They had a pretty cool camera on the set I was on too. I don't know if you've thought about specific types of cameras. This one was called an RED.
Oh yeah, a red. Yeah.
I think it's called RED.
Okay. I've got some pretty good equipment. I need the footage to look really raw because the story's like really raw. So it's gonna be it's not. The focus is not on spectacle. The focus is on the performances.
So what do you mean? You're gonna film it with your cell phone?
Not with my cell phone. I have a nice camera. I own a camera. All right. So, back to we used to be together for a second.
We used to be together.
Yeah.
What about we were once together?
We were once.
We once loved.
We once loved.
Yes. That's a great title.
I don't know. I don't think people connect with that at all. We once loved.
Once we were lovers. That's a bit of a mix between.
Once we were lovers.
Once we were lovers, because it's the idea that it happened one time.
No. I think we used to be together is the way to go.
One night stand style.
Well, it's not a one night stand. It's a 7-month relationship.
Is that a bit more passionate though?
Okay, I already deliberated on this title for a long time.
I don't know how useful it is for me to be interjecting anyways.
Well, it's not. I mean, the title is what it is. I'm not asking for your opinion.
Can you imagine a CEO who tried to run a company completely on their own? And that doesn't even just mean I'll just be the CEO and that's all we need. It means that I'm trying to do every single role and that not every single role. I know you're not trying to do every single role, but you're doing a lot. And I think that's It's a lot of pressure. I don't know. There was one day at the catering place where no one else showed up. And so myself and at least the main boss guy was there, and we had to do everything, and it was insane.
Yeah, well, you make it do.
I was ready to walk out, and so I could see you being ready to walk out. I could see that happen.
I don't see myself walking out on my own film. That just seems irresponsible. Look, I've put
It would all fall down completely if you did, that's for sure.
I put a lot of thought into this film already.
Yeah, thought's one thing.
What is that supposed to mean?
Reality's another.
Oh, ha. So, anyways, we were once together. That's the title we're going with. And I feel
And
like...
then, so then the tagline, I guess, on the cover of the DVD could be ... and now we're broken? Or now we are broken?
Seems a little forced.
And now we've fallen apart.
Okay, I'm not really a fan of that. I'll think on it. I'll sleep on it. Yeah.
Well, it's better than now we are not together. Certainly.
I wouldn't name the movie that we...
That's the tagline.
Stupid.
You know what a tagline is?
I know, of course I know what a tagline is.
I think that's what it's called.
I've been watching movies for, 15 years? 20 years? 25 years? Been watching movies my entire life is my whole point. It comes off as a little weirdly condescending when you ask me a question like, do you know what a tagline is?
I'm trying to watch out for you.
All right. You can watch out for me by, doing the things that I ask you to do.
Okay, so on this week's cooking segment?
Yeah, I thought we did that already.
No. We're doing quail eggs.
Oh,
now, this is a very, very touchy, delicate...
But that's not something that's ever going to be fed on my set.
No,
you already
not.
made it very clear that you don't have any interest in preparing you don't have interest in properly preparing meals.
Well, I don't have a particular interest either of talking about the quality of food on this show that is going to end up on your set with the budget that you're giving me. That's all.
Okay, so...
That's okay. We'll do that, and then we'll do this.
What are we going to be eating on set, then?
Well, can I talk about quail eggs?
I just don't understand why.
You put it on a bed of cabbage, and that cabbage is marinated in any kind of sauce you like.
Okay, I feel like we're taking time away from what we actually came here to talk about, which is...
Well, this show's called On Film and Cooking, right?
On film. Well, we haven't even finished the film portion yet.
I don't mind being surrounded by film. I mean, I'm always surrounded by whatever you're doing. But yeah, so... And then you want to just lightly boil for no more than a minute the quail eggs.
So for this film...
Before removing the shells.
For this film, we used to be together.
Don't be afraid about the gray color.
I really need to find like an interesting looking...
Look, just let me finish this one. But it
okay,
looks
Alex,
scary.
You've been talking over me all day. Like,
It doesn't look healthy, but it is. And you can put a nice brown sauce all over that.
Who cares? Okay. We're looking for, this is a plea to our viewers, we're looking for a very interesting looking house, for perhaps some exteriors. So if anyone wants to drop, a note in the comments or whatever.
Just the exteriors, or filming the interiors of your own apartment?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Why? What's wrong with that? You don't like this place?
I don't know. Everything seems to be playing against this movie.
It's a self-contained
I don't want to say it, but
story. It's a self-contained story that I'm looking to shoot.
So you're thinking the inside here is good enough for the inside, but not the outside?
Well, the outside, yeah, that's essentially my point. I want an interesting exterior because I want to mix up the landscape a bit. That's a pretty common practice in films, that the interior will be one place and the exterior will be somewhere else.
I hope you're not trying to make this inside here pass for a mansion or something, like shoot an outside of a mansion and then have this in the inside?
Well, it's a self-contained story, so a lot of it is going to just take place in like a handful of rooms.
That you don't necessarily see the connection between them? See, that's the script supervisor job too.
All right.
That makes sense. Like, because you can't just make no sense unless you really want to go with that.
People
you can go with that.
People don't need to hear this. Okay. Okay. Well, forget that idea then.
Well, I'd say the first step is getting a bit of a budget together. And why don't you come to work with me at the catering place for a while, just enough to get enough money together, and then be able to do this correctly?
Yeah, I think if I worked at your catering place, I'd probably shoot myself in the fucking head.
What? That's you, man.
It sounds boring.
Boring?
Yeah.
I told you what I did yesterday.
Yeah?
It was with politicians. There were politicians there. I don't know if you've ever met a politician, but they sort of decide how society goes.
Yeah.
And they had taken out a whole platter. A whole platter of salmon. That does not happen every day. You know how many salmon I had to go out and buy because of that? It was amazing. And it was at the fresh fish market.
This is not as interesting a story as you think it is. I've actually written an interesting story that comes from a real personal, painful place. And I think it's a story that people will respond to. So I don't see why we aren't devoting more time to my film. We can give you your little cooking segment or whatever at the end, but...
And what about your movie history
I just feel like
segment?
we're not making the best use of our time here.
I think you just need to make good, important decisions in this case.
Okay.
And have a nice balance.
You don't think I can do that?
I'm not sure so far. To be honest, I'm sorry.
Wow. Thanks, Alex.
That's why I'm saying, though, because I think you have the right decisions in your mind, but you need the right resources to be able to make those decisions. I understand why you're making the decisions you're making, but I don't want it to make the end finished product suffer. Because you said you want festivals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just to show your family.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really even matter anymore. Cause
I have a lot of faith in this film, and I don't care if you don't.
Like, you're not even asking actors to do it for free because you're just doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So there's no pressure anymore. So now there's not even a pressure to have this become something.
All right. I think we'll call it there for the day. We used to be together.
And now we're broken.
That's not the title.
That's the tagline.
Stop confusing people. It's stupid and it's pointless. Okay.
Next week on the show, I'll be doing a really, really interesting new original way of doing pizza that I learned while traveling in Malaysia.
Okay. This has been On Film and Cooking with Kyle and Alex.
Malaysian pizza next week.
All right. If we're gonna do this podcast, don't ever do that again.
What?
Don't undermine me on my show. Don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me when we have an audience listening. Look, there was absolutely no need for that. That was totally uncalled for. That was ridiculous.
An open show with discussion, and I am concerned.
People don't need to hear all this bullshit. Just let me talk about the film. Not your stupid hang-ups with the film, okay? It's totally uncalled for. It was ridiculous.
Well, when is an appropriate moment? Because these have to be brought up.
Not when we're on air, not when people are listening.
Yeah, fine. I'm sorry.
I was trying to have an active discussion about the film, and you just had to undercut me for no reason. I don't know what your fucking problem is.
I'm trying to undercut you.
Okay. We don't need to talk about this right now, okay? I think you should just go home.
Seriously.
Go. I don't want to talk about it right now. Get out.
Look, I'm just concerned about you taking too much on your shoulders, all right? Look. We'll talk about this later. You can re-edit.
Get out!